Play ball! Welcome back to the On Deck Circle podcast. I am your host and the director of Dynasty Baseball at FantasySixPack.net, Dave Eddy. You can find me on Twitter at Corporal Eddy. Now, before we get started, I am contractually obligated to tell you to subscribe and Hulk smash that like button. These things truly do help us out, though, quite a bit. So if you could, please make that happen. And also leaving a review is highly helpful as well. And of course, 5-star reviews are our favorite. But seriously though, we would love to hear from you, get your feedback. And lastly, as per the North Dakota state law, I have to let you know that I am joined by my guys, Jason Beckner, who we'll go with first here. So Jason, I want to say hello, tell people what you got going on.
But yeah, I'm writing for Dynasty content for Fantasy Six Pack. I got a weekly Dynasty buy or sell article that comes out on Mondays, and then another article comes out on Tuesdays, which looks at some top prospects and how they're performing this past week, and who's been called up or who's been demoted, any injury news, things like that. So yeah, look for either on Twitter or Fantasy Six Pack.
Yeah, and our first topic is gonna go right into how valuable that can be, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, and then next up, I got my main man, my Joe Kelly lookalike over here, Nick Zanaboni.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, Nick?
Not much. You can follow me on Twitter at nzanaboni93. You can follow me on Instagram at nickzee93. I was born in 1993. And on Instagram, I need you guys to make sure you're following at the Fantasy Six Pack so you can watch my DFS plays of the day. I'm doing about a video a day. This week, I hit on a couple big ones. I won myself some money. Would love to win you guys some money, too. And each week, I have a Dynasty Player of the Week. Tomorrow, every Wednesday.
Is it going to be Joe Musgrove?
It is not Joe Musgrove.
Damn it. Well, that's too bad because Joe Musgrove kind of had himself a game here, and we're going to just get into talking about him with the news of the week. So, Joe Musgrove, I'm pretty sure everybody knows, threw a no-hitter against the Rangers. Of course, first Padres no-hitter in team history. Now, I don't like to brag, but I do think that the podcast here, Jason especially, gets a lot of credit because we talked a lot of Padres last week, and I don't think it's a coincidence that, he then threw a no-hitter. But I think what's cool is, Musgrove is actually a San Diego native. I find that to be really interesting. He grew up rooting for the Padres. Only thing standing between him and a perfect game was he hit a dude in the 4th inning. He struck out 10 guys, only threw 112 pitches, so not too bad. What do you guys think about the no-hitter from Musgrove?
I'll let Jason go first on that one. This is his baby.
He's earned it.
Yeah, crazy. Last week I plant my flag as a Musgrove stan, and then he goes out next showing and throws the no-no. But yeah, again, like you said, no, just missed a perfect game by a hit by pitch. The 112 pitches, nothing too concerning. Still early in the season, so the arm's still fresh. Yeah, I think we talked earlier. Threw a lot of sliders. Of those sliders, though, I think only 2 of them were put in play. So I mean, the slider was working, a cutter was working. Yeah, I mean, what's not to love? And again, planting my flag there 3 days prior.
Nick,
I'm sure a lot of Pirates fans are very happy about all of this.
They have a riches of talent, so I'm sure that they'll get over it.
Yeah, and there's someone I'm going to talk about later in the show that's also a former Pirate, but I'll save that for the end. So planting my own flag on Joe Musgrove today. He was my DFS play of the day, the night of the no-hitter. Nice. I may have taken it strictly because of Jason the other day, and I was like, I'll just give it a shot. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah.
But
so
in regard to the no-hitter,
about the pitches. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's just there's a point of me now where I'm watching the no-hitter and I just root for the hit. I don't know why. I've reached
Ooh.
that part in my life where I'm just like, I don't want to see other people be happy. Just, just,
Wow.
giving up the hit. Just the look on any pitcher's face is
What would it be extra special? Like, would you get like hard if they did it like via bunt?
no. I'm very anti-bunt. I'm anti-bunt in like video games. So I'm not a bunt to break up a no hitter in real life would be catastrophic.
So if you're the pitcher, you're on the mound. It's eighth inning. There's 2 outs. You got a no going. A guy bunts, gets a base hit. What percent does the next batter eat a fastball?
I save it for the next time I play the team
Ooh.
and
Okay.
hit the guy that bunted.
And where do you hit him?
You gotta go the back, like shoulder, so
Okay,
he can
that's not a
like
boss move. That
kind of
okay,
like
whatever.
Conforto. He can just go right into it.
All right, all right. So I guess here's what I want to talk about because I talked about 112 pitches, right? That's extraordinarily reasonable. It's pretty low for a no hitter in reality. But if you were the manager of that team, you're a dynasty owner of him. At what point would you become uncomfortable as far as a pitch count is concerned with him heading into the ninth inning? If he's got, especially being that early in the season, if he was at 120 pitches going into the ninth, are you like, yeah, bring him out there, no shit, or are you like, like where's that line?
I'm a fan of the no-no, so I've also seen Edwin Jackson throw I think like 156 pitch no hitter. So 125, 135, let's go. Especially this early in the season. Yeah, I'm not too concerned. But that unless you're like 150 now, we're starting to get anything over 125. I'm starting to get a little concerned. But yeah,
Yeah, it depends on the arm too. Like if Lance Lynn's throwing, he's throwing like 160 pitches just because one, LaRusse is a dumbass, and two, it's just like he's a bulldog. But a guy like Musgrove, I guess I would give like 130.
Mhm.
Just to you need to let him see it through because you never know when he's gonna get it again.
Yeah, it's
Also,
tough. It's tough.
how much does not having a no-no in Padres history weigh in on that decision too? As a manager, you don't want to jeopardize your arm, but you also want to see history made. I don't know.
We're lucky Kevin Cash is not the coach of the Padres.
I think as a manager, I think I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't care if my franchise, has thrown 25 no hitters or none. That I don't think that I really care about that personally. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just to me. But yeah, all right. Let's move on to the next topic. Then we're going to talk about our personal dynasty strategies. So. Fair to say that we're all involved in quite a bit of Dynasty Baseball. Been doing it for a while, and I think we all have things that we prefer. So why don't you go ahead and get into things there, Jason? Why don't you talk about how you approach Dynasty Baseball?
Sure. So, I mean, if we can take it from the beginning, I mean, you talk about startup drafts. It's usually you get a group of people going together and you want to figure out, drafting everybody from prospects to major league players. So you got to kind of figure out what is your game plan before you even go into the draft. Are you going to go win now? Are you going to go, build for the future? Some people like to do a little bit of prospecting early. Personally, I prefer to do a little bit of a balance. I like MLB ready players as far as prospects go. So, don't be afraid to take, maybe not the first round, but you're talking about second, third round, fourth round. Don't be afraid to grab those guys and real close to jumping up to the majors. Could make an impact, especially hitters. You want to go heavy on the hitters as far as prospects go because we all know there's no such thing as a pitching prospect. So, go with the hitters early as far as prospects go. But then I also like to kind of get it staged out. If it's a little bit harder or trickier to look at, but if you can get like guys around the same draft class, guys around the same age, they're going to kind of come up and funnel into your system. At the same time, you can kind of let go of some of those older veterans that aren't maybe producing anymore. You can kind of have that steady stream of guys coming through your, your minor league system, quote unquote, in a dynasty league. That's kind of my philosophy on the take of it. Get that steady stream going, which again, like I said, it's not the easiest, but just some things to kind of think about.
What would you do with like a Nelson Cruz? Like, because we talked about him last week,
Yeah.
and it kind of sounds like it's counterintuitive to what a lot of us would look at. But
Mhm.
I mean, obviously you'd have to be playing to win now. But
Right.
at what point do you drop Cruz's value? Maybe from the consensus, just because you expect that you're going to get like a year out of him, or maybe two, or are you
Right.
saying that's just a elite bat? If I get a year from him, I get a year from him. You're going to take him, around where he goes.
Right. I mean, a smart man told me once, I don't hate players, I hate ADPs. At some point, the value is just going to be too good to pass up, even in a startup. If I see an aging vet starting to fall and I can still get him, later than he should be going, I'm jumping all over it. Especially even a Nelson Cruz or 41-year-old player, I'm still grabbing him at the right ADP.
What about you, Nick? How do you approach dynasty leagues? Kind of in a nutshell, what do you want to discuss there?
Mostly, I think it's important. Don't forget to be a fan. Like, we do this because we love baseball. I don't usually roster players that I do not like, just because you want to be able to root for your team and you want to also be able to root for like your home team. So mostly, just don't be. I just feel like a lot of people forget like why we do this. It's not like winning is great, the money's great, but like we do this because we love baseball. And I think right now, especially in the dynasty community, people forget why we do this. Also, just like hitting prospects, always don't draft a pitching prospect, because people will overpay for a hitting prospect as opposed to a pitching prospect, as in a pitching prospect they'll just bring up in negotiations like, oh, well, he's a pitching prospect. There's no such thing as a pitching prospect. Well, then why do you want him? So that doesn't make any sense. So just draft hitting. Don't forget flags fly forever. Like we do, it's for the fun and it's also to win. Like if you have to haggle someone over a prospect for you getting a Nelson Cruz, like a AA guy that's like not a top 100 guy, but you're like, well, I really like him, but you're getting Nelson Cruz who's about to hit 40 dongs for you.
Yeah,
You
totally
gotta just make sure you keep your mind in check and know your own. Like if your team's ready to win now and Nelson Cruz is the piece, go get that piece.
Yeah, for sure, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
just to build on that, don't, like you said, don't ever let a prospect pull up a trade. There's always going to be more prospects. There's always a stream coming in from first year player drafts. Unless it's somebody you're super high on, don't let. That's one thing I've learned is don't let a prospect get in the way of making that trade in a win now mode. So,
and we've all done it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You hold on to your prospect that you're super high on, and then he comes to the majors and he's just barely above replacement player, and you're like, damn it, why didn't I make that move?
I was wrong.
Yeah.
Well, or you can be like me, and I know we don't see it in 30 Rock. I mean, I'm not Jordan, so I'm not making 4 trades a day.
Right.
But I'm the kind of guy that, like one league, for example, I can't remember what I traded him for. That's how crazy it is. But I traded Julio Rodriguez, and I got a nice return. Right? I mean, it was one of those things where I had to get a no-brainer to move Julio.
Yep.
And I did. And then all that I could think about was, okay, how do I trade to get Julio back?
Yeah.
Right?
Buyer's remorse.
So, yeah, exactly. So I made the trade, and then it's like, okay, well, hold on, I want him back. And so as it turned out, that owner actually he completely switched what he was trying to completely switch gears, and he was kind of going towards a rebuild, but trying not to go too far away. And then he just, I don't know, in the offseason said, you know what, never mind, I'm going to try to win next year. And so Julio was available, and I was like, oh, okay. So I end up, reacquiring him, but that's me. I'll trade a guy, and I'm like, oh, well, now I want him back, and then that's not how you do it, that's weird. But for me, and I think this is something that we talked about. I talked about last week, and is going to be extremely common. My place on this is it starts for me with hitting over pitching, right? I mean, there's just no way that I'm going to take any of the guys like a Mackenzie Gore or anyone in that realm. I'm just not going to pay that price for somebody like that. Now, it's a difference between Mackenzie Gore and Chris Paddock to me. Now, my dynasty rankings, those two are very similar, but if I'm actually doing a draft, where I would get those guys, I would take Paddock over Gore, just as an example, and then as long as it makes sense with the league settings, because you're going to run into a billion different leagues, but I do typically try to focus on the more difficult, the shallower positions first. So first base, second base, outfield, I kind of put a priority on those. I feel like I can get a good shortstop late in the not late in the draft, but later in the draft. There's third baseman galore. Starting pitching is not something that I prioritize, so I find with waiting there. Exceptions with that for me are catcher and relief pitcher, right? Like catcher is very shallow, but I'm never gonna have a top 5 catcher probably ever. Same thing with like relief pitching. I kind of go back and forth between really wanting to have like one stud relief pitcher, so that I'm just solid with, I know I'm going to have a floor of saves. But when those guys are on the clock, there's always just a plethora of guys that I just like so much more that I'm just like, no, I'll just wait. So I'll trade for catchers. Maybe I'll trade for relief pitcher, but usually to me that's, waiting till somebody like Trevor Rosenthal gets hurt. Somebody in one of my dynasty leagues dropped him, and I went, okay, free closer towards the end of the year and into next year. Hopefully, that's where I take my shots on it, on guys like that. But I'm going to prioritize, outfield, second base, first base, stuff like that. So, just once you get a guy like a Gavin Lux, for example, I feel like I'm good at second base for a decade. Like I'm good. And there's just not a lot of guys at that position, that you can trade for and be like, okay, I'm good for a long time. I only need one of them, So that's the way I look at things there.
I wish we could just get rid of catcher. Yeah. Sorry. Just get rid of catchers.
I mean to go back to the DFS like Nick talked about, right? On FanDuel, literally there is a catcher / first base spot, right? So you don't have to play a catcher. Now, DraftKings, they have it's more traditional. I mostly play DraftKings, and oddly enough, I think I prefer it that way. But it is cool to just can it, I would even be cool with, if you had a league, and I've never played in a league like this, but just, since we're on the topic, kind of, instead of having a catcher and a first base spot, separately, have 2 catcher / first base spots. And then if you want to play a catcher, cool. If you want to play 2 first basemen, better. I mean, off the top of my head, I think that makes sense.
And let's be honest, we see some of the top catching prospects that just move out from behind the plate because their bat is better than their defense. And most teams right now, they want framing and defense. So in order to try to, grab a high-end catching prospect, you may not even end up being a catcher anyways. So let's just get rid of catchers altogether.
And that's exactly why I drafted Dalton Varsho in TGFBI, because he has catcher eligibility, but he also has outfield eligibility. So I kind of looked at him as a cheat code. Now, of course, he didn't, make the team opening day, so it kind of sucks. But when he gets called up, TGFBI has 2 catching spots that you have to fill. That's a son of a bitch. Especially for someone who doesn't draft a catcher. I drafted a catcher one time early, as a matter of fact. I reached for Salvador Perez 2 years. And what happened? Missed the entire fucking season. So I went, I'm going to get Varsho kind of late. Hoping he'll make the opening day roster, and then I'm going to be able to get steals, and I'm going to have a decent bat. Years ago, Brandon Inge was a decent bat, and he had catcher eligibility for the Tigers. And
he was everything.
I had him in like every league. It was like I said, it's like a cheat code to get somebody that you can plug in at catcher who isn't actually a catcher.
Right.
All right, so next up, we're going to talk about like being social in your leagues, kind of advantages that you can get from that. So, Nick, if you want to go ahead and start us off with your thoughts about socializing in your leagues.
Yeah, so I'm in a 24-teamer, a couple 30-teamers, and like a 15 or something, and like none of them are my actual like quote unquote friends like that like I like grew up with or anything. They're just people I met like in the industry. Like I'm really, really good friends with Jake Devereaux. I like used to work with him. He's over at Fantrax now, but he like was like, hey, start playing this with me. And I was like, all right. So I like joined. Like at first I was like, who the hell are all these people in this like WhatsApp chat or like Discord or whatever we're using? And it was just like important to like get to know the people and like develop some sort of relationship, whether it be good or bad. Like there are people in my leagues that I hate, like will not speak to
Can we
him.
get a list of names? Is that,
Uh
can I put them up on the screen real quick?
yeah. Um uh but and I'm sure people hate me. Like 2 years ago, I won my 24 teamer. And that whole off season, I sent videos to all the owners thanking them for giving me the players that won me the championship.
That sounds like
And
a the league kind of move, you know?
oh yeah, but like these people, some of them did not like it, like not at all, and they were ecstatic to know that I did not win last year. And there's just like a target on my back, which is fine. I'm a big wrestling fan, so it's like I'm just the heel of like the team. Like I'm Eddie Guerrero, lie, cheat, steal. I don't care. I'm here to win, except I don't always win, which sucks. So then I need to deal with the repercussions of them being like, well, you didn't win this year.
You gotta
But
cash that check.
yeah, exactly. I cast your money. uh, but yeah, just be social, have fun, because again, that's what it's all about. Like be a bigger version of yourself. Like if you're in there and you're not like talking like there's always someone in one of these huge leagues that like doesn't do trades or like doesn't respond to anything. Just be responsive, be open to it, because you're like invested a decent like $100 or something. Like that's something. So you might as well make it entertaining for yourself and for everyone else.
What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, just piggyback on what Nick said. I mean, he said, don't forget to be a fan. I mean, we're all in this for a reason. We like baseball. You're now in a group with 15 to 30 other people that are not just in love, like don't like just like baseball. We love baseball and we have a passion for it. So, be social with these guys. A lot of them might bring something to the table that you might not think about a player. You could find some information out as well from some other people in the league, like, oh, you're higher on this guy than I am. Well, why don't I slide this trade over your way? Since I know that you might likely accept it over somebody else because you're higher on this guy. So, I mean, you can find some secret intel, as you will. Some guys that might be higher or lower on. Again, just, you'll find you find a lot of benefits by being social, whether it be for trades or if you're looking for another league, maybe somebody in your league might be willing to fill a spot, or there's just the benefits. I mean, just go on and on about being social in your league. Like you said, if you don't be social, then people may not even know you're in the league, and they might not even send trades your way. They may not be a good trade partner. I mean, there's just tons of benefits to being social in your league. And again, it's just going back to being a fan of baseball and a fan of fantasy baseball. So that's my outlook on it.
I mean, and I think that the 30 Rock League that we're all in together and that we talk about a lot. I think that with how social that league is, that I think it's a prime example of why being social in your league actually makes it a lot more fun. I mean, in that group chat, which we were just in 5 minutes before we jumped on here, we were talking about just a variety of nonsense, but it really just builds, camaraderie, gets you to, know people a little bit better. I mean, I was talking smack in there, which is, it's fun to me, and we're talking about baseball. We exchange a lot of information, talk about baseball. Like as soon as, the James Paxton news came out today, he's getting Tommy John surgery. I instantly, first thing I thought was, I'm going to put that in 30 Rock chat, because that's a lot of times where I get my information about things first. I found out about the Musgrove no-hitter from the 30 Rock chat. Somebody came on there and said, "Oh, Musgrove is a no-hitter through 7," and I'm like, "Well, not anymore. You just jinxed it." And that's how I found out about it. I found out that Miggy went on the IL in the 30 Rock chat. So and that's all just part of being social. We exchange so much information in that group that that to me makes it fun. I learn a lot. You also get to learn a lot about what other owners like, what they dislike. Certain owners will talk about certain players or their feelings on certain things. Lends you to learn more about them. So if I'm looking for, I don't know, if I'm looking for a particular player or a particular type of player, a prospect or something, a lot of times just from that chat and getting to know people, you can go, well, I know that Jason isn't, too big on prospects. He always, talking about win now. I'm looking for, he just happens to own this guy that I'm interested in. I'm gonna reach out to Jason, and I already know what his thoughts kind of are on that. I know what he's looking for,
Mm-hmm.
So just knowing the guys in your league makes it easy. If I know nothing about Jason, and I say, hey Jason, hey man, I see you got Joe Musgrove over there. Hey, let me get you, let me. You good with? You want Matt Manning in return? And you're gonna go, what are you stupid? No, I don't want Matt Manning in return. Like, shut up. But if I know you better, I can, it's easier to make a deal, I guess, is
Right.
really, the long
Exactly.
story short, you have an open line of communication. Most of those guys in that league, they're easy to get a hold of, because, everyone's so active and, we're talking so often. So I think that it really just makes participating in the league a better experience overall, but it also makes it easier to make maneuvers sometimes too. You kind of know. I mean, we got 29 other owners, which you think that would make trading a lot easier, but I actually think it makes it a hell of a lot harder. But whenever you know what certain guys are into and whatnot, it really helps, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And then let's talk about some advanced stats, right? So, I mean, for me, whenever I'm looking at players, and just doing some research and stuff, I think a lot of people will just simply go to, hey, how many home runs does Mike Trout have this year? Oh, geez, he's only got, he only has one. Well, what the hell's wrong with him? Well, probably nothing. Best example of that, I think, right now is I saw a stat on Freddie Freeman, right? Not having the greatest start to the year, and then you look and his BABIP, which is batted balls in play, is like 083 or something. Wow. Well, that's not gonna last. His BABIP is gonna, get up in mid to high 200s eventually. So, it's not that he's doing something wrong. It's that he's hitting the ball
At
and
people.
it's just hitting it out exactly. So I think advanced stats are pretty big. And for me, ironically, whenever I started to make a list of my most important stats, it was actually the same for hitting and the same for pitching, with one exception, right? So when I'm looking hitters and pitchers, things I'm looking for: average exit velocity, right? I'm looking to see, how hard are they, hitting the ball when they're making contact. I think that's huge. Hard hit percentage, that takes into account a few different things, but kind of similar to barrel percentage, which is the next one, right? I want to see basically how hard are they hitting the ball and what kind of contact are they making. Freddie Freeman, like I said, if he's hitting, 100 at this point in the year, and his average exit velocity is in, top 80 percentile, in a hard hit percentage, barrel percentage, are all in the top 80 percentile. I don't care that he's batting 100. Yeah, it might suck for my team at the moment, but he's not doing anything wrong. He's not playing poorly. He's just getting unlucky. Another thing I like to look at, and this isn't really an advanced stat so much, but walk percentage. I think that a walk percentage is huge. I think that good hitters see a lot of pitches. Good hitters take walks, and it's usually not younger players that excel at that. Now you have your exceptions. You got like your Juan Soto's and guys like that. But for the most part, if a guy walks a lot, that typically is a good sign. That they're okay. Chase rate is another one I look at. So, obviously for pitchers, when I see someone with a high chase rate, that tells me that they have a lot of movement, or they're very deceptive. They're getting guys to swing at pitches that they shouldn't be swinging at, or vice versa for hitters. Are they swinging at a lot of bad pitches? That tells you what kind of an eye do they have. You don't see that kind of stuff in batting average, on base percentage, stolen bases, home run. That doesn't show there. So yes, I want my guys to hit 450 home runs and have 125 RBIs. Like, that's awesome, but you do need to look at the advanced stats too and say, well, this guy's batting 400, but boy, he's not barreling the ball. His exit velocity sucks. He's not taking any walks. I would look down on that a lot. And then the only difference between hitting and pitching for me is pitching. I'm kind of big on spin rate. And if you think I'm crazy, that's exactly what the Astros, especially, are that's what they look for is spin rate. Spin rate to me, and I talked about this last week when I talked about Dylan Cease. Spin rate to me tells me how much movement a guy is getting. You can have other stats specifically for movement, but if you've got a high spin rate, your ball is not going straight. So you could be throwing a high 80s fastball, and if it has a nice spin rate, that's going to be a much harder pitch to hit than something 100 coming straight at you. Give me 90 and a high spin rate all day over 102 straight. So
100
those are the kind of things that I look at personally. Well, what about you, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, advanced stats are great, especially with how far they've come in just the last couple of years. I mean, Baseball Savant has only been around for I can't remember, I don't know exactly how long it's, but it's been
It's awesome
new.
though, man. I love Baseball Savant.
I could spend days and days on Baseball Savant. I mean, it's crazy, but the one thing I want to impress us about this is that most minor league stadiums do not have any StatCast data, which unfortunately sucks for when you're trying to look up, trying to find out some outliers and prospects and things. But they do track a lot of things, the minor league systems, that could kind of help. Maybe find some guys that why is this guy doing so much better this year than last year? Or has he made some adjustments? Like I like to see guys with hitters, especially with like a low chase rate. Do they have a good plate discipline? Are they swinging at a lot of sliders down and away? Are they chasing high fastballs? Also like you gotta look at the low O swing rate, which is out of zone swing rate. So again, are they swinging at pitches out of the zone, or are they waiting for their pitch? They also you can look up pull versus oppo percentage. Are they using the whole field? Are they taking the ball deep into the zone and driving it the other way? It's easy for prospects to start getting pull heavy, which you then get boosted to the majors. Then all of a sudden you're seeing huge shifts. So are they able to make adjustments at the minor systems? Another thing I also like to look a lot is weighted runs created. That's
a good one. That's one of my favorites, honestly.
So that one's one of the higher ones. It kind of puts everyone on an even playing field, so you can kind of look and see. Hey, is it just something because he's in Coors Field? Why is this guy all of a sudden doing so much better than someone that's in the low, maybe a pitcher friendly park? WOBA, weighted on base average. So I mean, that's looking at something that's like, is he just getting singles, or is he getting on base because he's getting doubles and extra base hits? So that's, I mean, from a hitter standpoint, those are some of the things that I'm looking at. Everyone likes to see batting average, and on base, but why are they getting on base? And are they getting on base because they're walking, or are they getting singles?
To me, it's more, is it sustainable, right?
Right.
And it could be good or bad. Freddie Freeman's not going to continue to hit 130 for the rest of the year. And you look at the advanced stats and you go, oh yeah, well of course of course he's not going. He's hitting the ball well. He's just hitting it right at everybody. Or you see a lot of the opposite of that. You'll see someone, like Willie Castro last year, one of my Tigers, right? He hit well over 300, and you look at his BABIP and you go, oh shit. Okay, well, a lot of things he happens to make contact with are falling in play. And then you see he's struggling a little bit this year, and that's like, oh, okay, he's coming back to normal. But that BABIP is a big one to me too. It just really tells you
that one's
lucky
huge
or unlucky they're getting.
Yeah, could we combine that with exit velocity? I mean, exit velocity. Since I'm sure most people have played Little League. Since I've been in a Little Leaguer, what do they tell you? Hit the ball hard somewhere.
Yep.
If you're hitting the ball hard, chances are you're gonna eventually start getting hits, whether that's home runs with nice launch angles or line drives. But so exit velocity, like you said, that's another great one too for hitters, because if they're hitting it hard, that means they're barreling it up and they're making good contacts. I mean, that's another great one to look at as well. But unfortunately, like I said, the prospects don't necessarily have the exit velo. But yeah. And then the pitchers, kind of similar to what you said. I like to look at a lot of the whiff percentage. Are they getting swing and misses on any of their pitches? Even the fastballs. Sometimes the fastball has some good movement. They're getting a lot of whiff percentage on it. Well,
Sure.
And then I think another one that's kind of underrated, which is actually really new. Alex Fast of Pitcher List kind of created this one, and actually Fangraphs just picked it up. It's the CSW percentage, which is called strikes plus swinging strikes combined. So that way you're kind of getting not just are they, getting good swing and miss stuff, but they're also getting a lot of called strikes, whether that be on the edges of the zone, whatever. So I think that's a really good one that's going to start taking off. I think I even saw Alex Fast tweet out that ESPN may have even started to kind of pick up on that one too. So that's another one to keep an eye out. That one I think he just created not that long ago. So that's a good one to look at for pitchers. FIP's also another great one. That kind of is similar to BABIP for pitchers.
Right.
Kind of takes out the whole fielding element of all the pitchers. Are the pitchers getting lucky by just having better hitting it to people? So FIP is also on an ERA scale. So I mean, if you're looking at something or you see a low ERA / for a FIP, I mean that means chances are they're doing something good.
I mean, we could do a podcast just on advanced stats. And, I mean, we keep talking about it, then we get, there's this one too. It's like, that's right. Good. I mean, there's so many. I mean, nothing is the gospel. You know what I mean? Like, there is nothing that says if they're good in, I mean, yes, you want to be good in all these categories, obviously.
Absolutely.
But there's not one where you say, oh, well, man, this guy's exit velocity is, 98.1. He leads the league. He's got to be a great hitter. Well,
yeah.
I mean,
not necessarily.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, nothing's the gospel. I honestly think probably if you had to just pick one stat, or if I could just have one stat at the major league level, and that's all that I could get, I think I would take the weighted runs. I think that would be the big. To me, that encapsulates kind of everything. And to say, okay, what's his, weighted runs created plus, I mean, if you're at 120, you're obviously doing a lot of things well. So that's my just all encompassed if I had to pick one.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it kind of puts it at that, 100 being the average. Or like, replacement level player. So if you're seeing like weighted runs created of like a 50 or a 60 on player, I mean, that's,
they're not doing
that's
well.
something to take note of.
So what do you want to add here, Nick? I know that before the show you said, I might kind of just lay low on this one because Jason and I are kind of into this, and it's not so much your thing, but so you got our perspective of guys that are really into the advanced stats. But what about from someone whose perspective that says, I don't put so much weight into those? What say you?
It's more of just, I don't know about them. I just found Baseball Savant like maybe 2 months ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many things. So many letters, so many X's.
Take a week off of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, exit velocity is probably the only one that I've really paid attention to going into this sheet. Like before Baseball Savant, I was just like, oh, this guy hits the ball hard. Cool. And
we didn't even talk about probably the most popular one nowadays, and that's launch angle. I talked about that with Vlad last week.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really put a lot of stock into it necessarily unless you're just at one extreme or the other. But
right.
that's a big one. You know what I mean? Nowadays, that's what everyone cares about. Like they're gonna start replacing the numbers on the back of their jersey with their launch angle percentage.
Yeah. Well, launch angle plus exit velo equals home run.
Well, yeah. So. Sure. I mean, yeah. But
that's
again,
why everyone likes to see the launch angle. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But at what point though? I mean, at what point though do you say launch angle becomes a negative? Like if a guy's got a 40% launch angle, it's like, well, wait a minute, all he's doing is popping stuff up. So it's not, it's not such a linear number where it's like, oh, the higher it is, the better. It's like weighted runs created plus. If I'm a 200, that's amazing. If my launch angle is 80%, I'm probably batting 0. But
yeah, I'll do some homework.
Else you want to add to that, Nick? Yeah,
I'll just do some homework on it. I'll come back.
Yeah, man.
Next week, I'll just tell me each week. Just give me an advanced stat to look into.
The advanced stat of the week.
Yeah, there we go. That's a topic.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And then
if you go on Fangraphs up on the top, man, there's like a little drop down. They have a whole glossary of not only what the stat is, but what it calculates and what it some outliers on what it's used for. Even on the bottom of Baseball Savant,
I've done that at the bottom.
Yeah, they don't cover them all by any means. But honestly, if you're looking at one and you're like, what the hell does that stand for? Google it. It'll pop up.
Yeah.
But yeah, advanced stats are, I mean, wait, one day one day we're going to have, some of those stats are going to become, fantasy relevant to the fact that they become categories. You've seen the shift from batting average to on base percentage in a lot of places, right?
Yep.
And then a lot of places now go, well, wait a minute. Well, let's just do OPS then. Let's just do on base plus slugging, And I play in leagues that don't even have RBIs.
Yeah.
It's just that's kind of a lot of people for pitching side say, well, wins are kind of a funky stat. Let's do quality starts, and then but then that diminishes relief pitching, and then
Yeah.
So I mean, it's ever changing,
Always.
All right, so let's end this bad boy here. Let's get into our final diss. So final diss is going to be, I guess, usually not in my case this week, but usually it's something in the show that somebody said or did that we just kind of want to call out. So I'm actually going to go first. Mine is completely irrelevant to this show. And what it is it's actually going to be towards Nick, because I don't even know, I was so busy at work today, I barely even noticed, but Nick goes into the group chat that the three of us have, and he singles out Jason in our group chat. Could have just texted Jason on his own, but no, he singles out Jason in our group chat to ask him a trade question. Didn't ask me anything. Hey Dave, what do you think? No, interrupt me at work for like a half hour with all these texts, and it wasn't even related to me. So thanks, Nick. Appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah. I did not do the trade.
I don't care. I don't care.
Because I didn't ask you. Earlier in the week, I did ask you.
I don't remember.
It was I was trading pitching. I was getting Judge, and you said I hate pitching.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember that now. I didn't even remember that was you. I forgot who that was. Okay,
that's me.
All right, what do you got, Dick? Since I gave it to you, what do you got? Final diss.
All right, this also has nothing to do with this show.
Oh.
It has to do with last show.
Oh,
Mr. Tyler Glasnow.
Uh-huh.
How was his last start?
Honestly, I don't know, but I don't care.
He got 14 Ks.
The sample size is how big?
He will win the Cy Young.
What in
I like the prediction
in Japan, like 5 years from now, after he's
this year?
Big leagues?
Boom.
That's the dumbest thing you've ever said.
I've said a lot of things.
He doesn't. He's not even going to throw enough innings to qualify.
What I saw last night, it was last night.
Yeah.
Electric.
If the season was like 2 weeks long, Tyler Glasnow would be like awesome.
No, he's really good, and
he's really good in very short stints.
He's gonna hold up. I promise.
Okay, I'm not gonna write that down.
Pirate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the other ex-pirate. We've come full circle.
Yeah. What you got there, Jason?
I think it's just more of a diss on both of you guys, man. And we just need to let you guys know that pitchers do matter. Everyone wants to diss on the pitcher, but when you need those strikeouts and those wins in your league, you're taking pitching. So that's my last. You gotta give them a little bit of love there. Too much.
You could just like draft Ohtani, and then you technically have a pitcher.
There you go.
I mean, right?
Do you?
I don't know. He has too many blister issues, so we'll see.
All right, guys. Well, hey, great show. Appreciate for everyone that tuned in and listened. If you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and definitely do that. We appreciate it. Seriously, reviews would be awesome. Love to get your feedback. I don't know about you guys, but I got quite a few people reach out to me via Twitter. And, let us know how things were. That's super awesome. Love it. That's super cool. And, of course, hit that like button. That goes a long way to letting Joe Bond know that we don't suck, and he'll keep paying us. So, if we don't get likes, then I'm not going to be able to feed my family. So,
you can sell some of your balls.
Yeah. So if you hate my family, then I guess don't hit the like button. That's cool. All right, guys. We will catch you in We'll catch you in about a week.
7 days. Yep.
All right. Everyone be good.
Bye.